Joining us now, Governor Gavin Newsom. And Governor, let's talk about the recall election first. You're fighting, of course, to keep your job as governor. Poll numbers are close. Why should voters in the state keep you in the job?
Well, I'm really proud of this state. There's no economy of all the Western democracies in the world. California is outperforming each and every one of them. 21% growth over the last 5 years, an $80 billion operating surplus, over 100 IPOs, nation-leading job creation, household income. We're making a remarkable comeback. And I think it's important to underscore we did that despite leading this nation in terms of our health efforts to try to, tame this pandemic. And I should note we outperformed Florida and Texas, Indiana, the U.S. as a whole, not just in economic terms, which we did, but also in terms of health outcomes. And look, I got a lot of work to do on homelessness and housing, these pre-existing conditions, of course, all these simultaneous crises of droughts and, yes, 13 large-scale wildfires. We got a lot of work to do. It's a serious moment in California's history.
It certainly is. In California, as you well know, we have a lot more registered Democrats than Republicans, but it seems the GOP is much more motivated to vote and vote you out. How do you get Democrats to turn in their ballots?
Just remind them what's at stake. It's as you say, turning in the ballot, since it's an all-mail ballot. 20+ million ballots have dropped down your mailbox. Fill them out, just vote no and go. Send them back. Of course, Election Day is technically on September 14th. Look, at the end of the day, it's an off-year, off-month election. It's exactly why they did this. It's what they did a few years back. Former governor, here they go again. This is backed by the RNC, Newt Gingrich, Devin Nunes. We just had former Mayor Rudy Giuliani jump in the fray here. And of course, the folks on the other side have one thing in common. Well, two things. They all supported Trump, and they all support ending mask mandates and vaccine verification day one if they're elected governor.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the pandemic, also the recall COVID. What's your response to the recall candidates who have stated their intention, as you say, to reverse the mask mandates? They also might be anti-vaccine, and even, the voters who join them in saying it's all unconstitutional.
It breaks my heart. How many more people have to die? How many more deathbed confessions do we have to hear from someone who says, I wish I didn't listen to that pundit on TV. I wish I had listened to the scientists and gotten vaccinated. Those people are in their ICU and maybe on their last days. It breaks your heart. Look, this is a serious moment. These guys want to take us off that same COVID cliff that we're seeing every single night in Florida, in Texas, in Missouri, and other states. Quite literally, they want to end day one. They said day one they want to end the mask mandate for our kids. They want to end the vaccine verification programs. We know these things work. California has a 6.1% positivity. It's a third of what Texas is right now. Our hospitalizations aren't close to where they are in places like Florida. California has not been perfect, but we've outperformed in almost every category these other large states, and we're outperforming on vaccines as well. I just don't want to turn the page to a dark playbook that is literally putting people's lives at risk and the education of our kids at risk. Honestly, that's literally what's at stake on September 14th on this recall election.
Well, we've seen the Delta variant take off like one of our wildfires, really. Now, why not go all in on the vaccine mandates, make it universal across the board statewide?
Well, look, we, in the last 2 weeks, just consider what we did. Became the first state in the country to require all state employees to have vaccine verifications. Became the first state in the country to require all healthcare workers to have vaccines mandated. Became the first state in America to require all school employees, teachers included, to have vaccine verifications. And just yesterday on mega events indoors. So we're not being shy, we're not being timid. And we have cities like San Francisco, LA, and others that are leaning in even further. So that's just the last few weeks. We maintain an openness to argument, we lean in, and we are not opposed to any new ideas in order to keep people safe and stop the spread of this virus.
I think we all kind of realize there are those who simply refuse to get the vaccine, and yet they're going out in public. Our younger kids back in school, they cannot be vaccinated yet. So how can the state control the spread of the virus and the variants when we do have those two groups to contend with?
Yeah, look, 81% of all adults have received at least one shot. 79% of all eligible Californians have received at least one dose. It's one of the highest vaccination rates in America. Thank you, California. You've done an amazing job. But this is a pandemic disproportionately of the unvaccinated that are not only putting their lives at risk, their own lives at risk, but putting the education of our kids at risk and small businesses getting back on their feet and our economic recovery at risk. So we have to go after the disinformation, the misinformation. We have a lot of work to do, but I think we're making great progress. We've got one big surge to get through.